Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a really cool part of French grammar. It's all about how to talk about the past the past that never actually happened. You know, the world of what ifs and could have beens.
Seriously, have you ever been thinking back on something and just wished you knew how to say, I would have called, or maybe we would have gone? But in French, it's a super common feeling, right? Well, today you're going to learn exactly how to do it. So, the grammatical tool for this is called the past conditional. Now, people sometimes call it the language of regret, which is a pretty cool nickname, but it's really for any time you want to talk about a different possibility in the past. Okay, so in French, the official name is the Conditionnel Passé, and its main job is actually really simple. You use it anytime you would say would have in English. That's it. So it's not just for regrets, but for any action that would have taken place if the past had been just a little bit different. I know. A new French tense can seem a little scary. But the good news? The formula for this one is super logical. In fact, it's surprisingly close to how we already do it in English. Let's break down the recipe.
It's just a simple three-part structure. First, you've got your subject, je, tu, il. Second, you add this little helper verb, which is the would have part. And finally, you tack on the past participle of your main verb. See, it's basically the same blueprint we use in English.
All right, let's see this formula in action so it's not so abstract. We're going to use a really common verb, parler, which means to speak. Our goal here is to say would have spoken. So let's run through the full conjugation with a super common verb, parler, which means to speak. Just listen and feel free to say it out loud with me. Okay, you ready? For I, j'aurais parlé, I would have spoken. For you, tu aurais parlé, you would have spoken. For he or she, il aurait parlé. He would have spoken. Now for we, nous aurions parlé. We would have spoken. For you all, vous auriez parlé. And finally, for they, ils auraient parlé. Did you notice? That second part, parler, stays exactly the same the whole way through. The only part that changes is that first bit, the would have part. And getting the sound of that right is everything. So let's walk through the pronunciation for each one. For I, you say j'aurais parlé. Let's focus on that helper verb, aurait. Try saying it, aurait. Notice the S at the end is silent, so the whole thing is j'aurais parlé. Next up, for the informal you. Guess what? The pronunciation is exactly the same. Tu aurais parlé. Again, that ending is aurait. Easy, right? Now, for he, she, or the general one, it's il aurait parlé. Okay, so the spelling is a little different. It ends in a T, but that T is totally silent. So for our ears, the sound is identical to the first two, aurait. Okay, with we finally get a change in the sound. This one is nous aurions parlé. You can really hear that classic aurions ending that always goes with nous. Listen again, aurions. The whole phrase, nous aurions parlé. And for the formal you, or you all, we have a similar distinct pattern. It's vous auriez parlé. Hear that isier ending? Auriez? That's the signature sound for vous. And finally, for they, the phrase is ils auraient parlé. Now here's the trick. That ENT at the end is completely silent, which means this sounds exactly like the singular forms we started with. So for I, you singular, he, she, and they, that would have part, aurait, 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 is all pronounced the exact same way. That is a fantastic shortcut to remember. So, we've got the structure, we've got the pronunciation. Now let's lock it all in with the single, most important trick to help you remember all of this. Here it is. This is the whole secret. Forget the fancy grammar term for a minute. From now on, whenever the thought would have pops into your head in English, I want your brain to immediately jump to the conditional passé. Just wire that connection. Would have equals conditional passé. That is, hands down, the most powerful way to make this stick. And just like that, you're all set. You now have the tool to talk about alternate timelines and all those past possibilities. It's a really powerful and expressive part of the language. So I'll leave you with a little something to practice with. What would you have done differently?